What's going on? Matty B here, showing you how to tie this woven nymph. What I'm using for a hook here is a Umpqua size 12 C550BL. Here I'm using tungsten fly tying beads, 3mm, flat black. For dubbing, I'm using SLF Spiky and Natural Fox. And for embroidery floss, I'm using DMC 25. This isn't the color that I'm using, but this is what the package looks like. Comes in 6 strands there. I usually split them. I'm using only 2 strands here on this weave. What I do is I take my floss and I put it on bobbins, on empty spools. What I'm using for a wire is ultra wire, small and olive. So to start, you want to put down a solid thread base. And you want your thread base to go past the bend of the hook. Bring your thread back forward. You tie in your wire. Everything that you tie in here, you want to tie in on the side of the hook shank. Create a nice body profile. Then when you tie in your floss, I tie my dark side in, facing me. Again, you want to tie this in on the very edge or the side of the hook shank. Tie it all the way back to where your thread base ends. And then for the lighter color, you want to tie in on the other side, on the side of the hook shank. And when you tie this other thread or the other floss in, you want to tie it equally as far as you tied your darker color in. And if you want to build up a little bit of a body taper, that's fine. Build up a little body taper here, and then I whip finish this right off. If I could find my whip finisher. There it is. 5 or so, it's good. Usually just break it right off. Maybe trim that tag. And what you do is you turn your vise. Lock it into position. What you do here now is you take your right hand with the light color, you go underneath the fly, the body. With your dark color, you come underneath the light and up and over. Underneath with the light, up and over with the dark. Underneath with the light, up and over with the dark. You continue that all the way to create the body. And here I'm only using 2 strands of floss to make a slim body. I'm from Connecticut, so the fish in the Farmington River like a little bit more slim bodied bug. That's why I tie them on the slim side. It's all personal preference, but you know, I can continue pushing my bobbins backwards to get a nice tight weave. Right a few millimeters behind the bead, you stop your weave, hold it up. And you take your thread, retie your thread on. What you do is you catch the floss, wrap forward a few times, and then wrap backwards over, double the floss back, and wrap over that. Cinch it really good. And you cut that floss off. And then this is where you take your wire. And you go in between each weave with your wire. Try not to touch the point of the hook because that will snap your wire, and that's the worst. So then you cut your wire off. If you want to do a wing case, you can use pheasant tail. This one I'm just going to do a dubbing collar with the SLF. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a dubbing spinner and do this in a dubbing loop. To make your loop, you can use a little Wapsi dubbing wax. You don't drop it. So you're going to take a very, very sparse amount of this dubbing. You got about that much. Put it in the loop. Prefer a loop over a split thread technique. I don't know why, just personal preference. So I always wrap instead of use the rotary feature, so I can kind of tease these fibers back as I'm wrapping. Once I got that, a couple wraps behind, a couple wraps in front, cut it off. I'm going to do a hot spot, so nope, I'm not going to do a hot spot because I just broke my thread. So here, we're just going to whip finish. Then I'm going to take some Loon Flow with my Loon Magnum Light. Just drop a little bit where my tie-off point was. Hit it. We're done.